In a quiet corner of the galaxy, near a fading star, a large metal shape floated in space. It had no lights, no sound, and no movement. Most ships avoided this area. Warnings blinked on every scanner. Maps marked it as restricted or danger zone. No one wanted to come close. Stories called it cursed. Legends called it haunted. Some believed it was just space junk. Others said it was something older, something dangerous. The object was a ship, but not an ordinary one. It was shaped like a dagger, long and wide, with dark armor plates that looked like ancient stone. Its name was still visible on the side, though faded and scratched. 2 simple words: Ashen Crown. No one really knew what Ashen Crown was. The humans who built it were gone thousands of years ago. Their cities, fleets, and colonies had vanished. Some believed they had destroyed themselves. Others thought they left the galaxy. The truth was lost. All that remained were ruins, machines, and old warnings. On this day, a small scavenger ship named Drifter's Luck entered the Forbidden Zone. Its crew was made up of 5 members, each from a different alien species. They were not treasure hunters or brave heroes. They were just poor workers looking for old tech to sell. Their ship was old, with patches on its wings and a slow engine. But it had good scanners, and today the scanners had picked up something strange. "Captain, we're getting energy readings," said Fira, the navigator. She was tall and thin, with blue skin and 4 eyes. "It's weak, but real." The captain, a short and round alien named Vok, frowned. "No one comes here. What could be active?" They followed the signal. As they moved closer, the dark shape of Ashen Crown appeared on the screen. The crew gasped. None of them had ever seen a ship so big. It was nearly a city in size. Its engines were silent, its guns cold, but it gave off a feeling that made everyone uneasy. "That's a supercarrier," whispered Dren, the youngest of the crew. He was small, with green skin and sharp ears. "From the human Dominion days." "Impossible," said Vok. "Those ships were destroyed in the Silence War." "Or hidden," Dren replied. The crew argued. Some wanted to leave. Others wanted to check it out. In the end, the chance of finding valuable tech was too tempting. They docked with the ship carefully. The airlocks were old, but still functional. The inside of Ashen Crown was dark and cold. Lights flickered as they walked through long metal halls. The ship had not been touched in a long time. Dust floated in the air. Screens were cracked. Some doors were sealed shut. Others opened with a hiss, as if welcoming them. There were no bodies, no signs of battle, just silence. Dren moved ahead of the others. He was curious, more than afraid. He found himself in a large room, lined with glowing tubes and machines. At the center of the room stood a single cryopod. It was covered in ice. Inside he saw a figure, tall, calm, and unmistakably human. His heart beat faster. "Captain," he called over the comm, "I found something." "A person, still alive," Vok's voice crackled. "Are you sure?" "Yes. It's a cryopod. Very old, but still running. The person inside looks unharmed." The rest of the crew joined him quickly. They stared at the pod in silence. No one had seen a living human before, only statues, paintings, or holograms. and this one looked untouched by time. "Should we wake him?" asked Fira. Vok hesitated. "That's dangerous. We don't know what he'll do." Dren looked at the control panel. His fingers hovered over the buttons. "He might help us. He might know how this ship works." Before anyone could stop him, he pressed the activation command. The pod lit up. The ice melted slowly. Warm air filled the room. The human's eyes opened. He looked around, calm, focused. His eyes were sharp, but not angry. He stepped out of the pod and stood straight. He wore a black uniform with silver lines, clean and strong despite the years. No one spoke. The human looked at each of them, then at the room. He walked to a console and placed his hand on it. Lights came on. The floor vibrated. Somewhere deep, in the ship, a low hum began. "Command authority recognized," said a voice from the speakers. "Welcome back, Marek." Marek. That was his name. Simple, strong, and human. The crew stared. They did not know what to say. Marek turned to them and nodded once. "You should leave now," he said. His voice was quiet, but carried weight. "Why?" asked Dren, surprised. "The systems are waking. The ship is not safe for visitors. Not yet." "But what are you going to do?" Fira asked. Marek looked at the stars through the glass window. He said nothing for a moment. Then he replied, "I am going to see if the galaxy still remembers." The crew returned to their ship, confused and unsure. As they flew away, they saw Ashen Crown light up. One by one, its engines came alive. Its shields flickered. Its systems powered up. It had not moved in thousands of years. Now it was awake, and it was only the beginning. The Ashen Crown moved through space like a shadow. Its engines glowed with soft blue light. No signals were sent, no transmissions were heard. It just moved, slow and silent, through the forgotten edge of the galaxy. Inside the ship, Marek walked, alone. His footsteps echoed through the long metal halls. The lights turned on before him and turned off behind him, as if the ship knew his path. Dust and silence still filled many rooms, but systems were coming online. The ship was healing itself. The voice of the ship's AI, calm and smooth, followed him through the speakers. Core systems at 42%. Full recovery estimated in 9 days. Marek stopped in front of a wide window that looked out into space. Stars blinked in the distance. His face was still and quiet, but his eyes were full of thought. "How long was I asleep?" he asked. 2,971 years, the AI replied. He took a breath. "Status of the Dominion?" "No signals. No known. Human activity in the last 200 years. All outer colonies are cold. Inner worlds show no contact. Final message in the system is marked as Final Stand Directive." Marek closed his eyes for a moment. "Then it's true? We're gone." The AI paused. "You are the only registered human currently active. You now hold full authority. Do you wish to activate fleet recall protocols?" "There is no fleet to recall," Marek said. "Just ghosts." The ship continued its work. Panels opened to release small repair drones. Engines warmed. Shields adjusted. Weapons stayed offline but fully ready. The ship did not act like a machine. It acted like a beast waking from deep sleep. Far away, the drifter's luck returned to a nearby trading station. The crew had no intention of keeping secrets. They told everyone what they saw. A living human, a working supercarrier, a name from the past that still made people nervous. Word spread fast. In less than a day, the Galactic Council received hundreds of reports. Some believed the story, others laughed. But the Council could not ignore the name, Ashen Crown. At the main council station, 12 representatives met in the Grand Chamber. Each one spoke for a different species. Some were tall and cold. Others were short and bright-skinned. They came from peaceful planets and old empires. But today, they all shared the same feeling: unease. "This cannot be real," said Talos, a thin elder from the Sheeran race. "Humanity is gone. This ship must be a fake." "The reports are clear," said Relna, a soft-spoken being from the Kindari. "The ship's ID matches ancient records. The design, the markings, even the AI name, everything matches. And the human was identified by voice pattern. His name is Marek." "Then we are in danger," said Kor, a warrior from the Voltan Empire. "If he activates that ship's systems, it will be stronger than any 10 of our fleets." The council fell silent. Long ago, during the time of the human dominion, humans had built ships that no one could match. They did not use fear. They did not demand control. They only made it known that if war came, they would end it quickly. Most believed this power was lost when humans disappeared. Now it was back. "We must send a fleet to stop him," Kor continued, "before the ship becomes fully active." Relna shook her head. "He hasn't attacked anyone. He even warned the crew to leave. That ship has not fired a single shot." "Yet," Kor said. The council voted. The result was split. Some called for caution. Others called for force. In the end, they agreed to send a small observation fleet. 5 ships, fast, light, with orders to watch and report, not to engage. Back on Ashen Crown, Marek entered the command bridge. It was a large space, lined with glowing screens and control panels. The main chair stood at the center, untouched for centuries. He sat down slowly. The chair adjusted to his presence. "All systems report to command," he said. One by one, the screens showed updates. Shields at 85%. Hull integrity stable. Life support at full function. Engines charged. Weapons offline but ready. Then came a soft alert. Unidentified fleet approaching. 5 ships. Standard scout class. Not transmitting threats. Marek watched the screens. The ships appeared on the radar, moving in careful formation. "Let them come closer," Marek said. "But raise shields." The scouts entered visual range. They circled the Ashen Crown, scanning every detail. They sent messages, basic greetings, requests to talk. Marek did not reply. He let them look. He wanted them to see what still lived. After one full orbit, the scout ships turned and left. Marek leaned back in the chair. "They will tell the others," he said. "Yes," replied the AI. "Your presence will no longer be a secret." "That's the plan," he said. He stood and walked back to the observation window. The stars seemed brighter now. He did not smile. He did not frown. He simply watched. Outside, small lights moved along the ship's hull. Drones repaired old panels, systems realigned, hidden codes activated, long dormant systems opened quietly. The ship was not a weapon. It was a memory, a reminder of what once was. And soon, the galaxy would remember. The news spread like fire. A living human had returned. A working supercarrier from the human dominion had awakened, and it had moved. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. For the first time in over 100 years, all 12 council leaders arrived in person. No one wanted to miss this. The room was tall, with glowing walls, long glass windows, and a wide circular table. The council had always been calm in the past. Today, the air felt heavy. "He did nothing aggressive," said Relna of the Kindari. "He woke up. He powered the ship. He spoke to no one. The ship left the restricted zone. That is all." Kor of the Voltan slammed a heavy fist on the table. "That is not all. The Ashen Crown is a supercarrier, the most powerful class of ship ever built. If that ship becomes fully active, it could destroy fleets before we even respond." "He has destroyed nothing," said Relna again. "And your fear is not a reason to attack." "The fear is real," said Garo, a slow-speaking leader of the Lurin. "The presence of that ship affects our trade lines, our travel routes, our peace." Talos of the Shiren leaned forward. "We must ask a question. Is this one man a danger, or is the return of humans a signal of something greater?" The room grew quiet. Some council members had studied human history. Some had seen the few old records that survived. There were stories of unmatched strategy, strange technology, and fast victories. The humans did not build an empire through war, but through something harder to understand: presence. They had always been few in number, yet no one had dared fight them. One ship could turn a battle. One human captain could stop a war. Now one man had returned, and the largest of their ships was with him. Back at the Ashen Crown, Marek stood in a quiet chamber filled with memory walls. These were not computers. They were living data. Streams of soft light showing records, maps, and voices from the past. He placed his hand on one of the panels. A soft hum followed. The voice of a woman filled the room. "To any human who awakens, in the future, remember our promise. We sealed ourselves away not in defeat but in choice. We gave the galaxy a chance to grow without fear. But if you return, it means the balance is lost. Watch, wait, do not strike. Presence is enough." Marek said nothing. He let the words hang in the air. Then he walked back to the bridge. The AI greeted him. "Council ships are moving. Several fleets are forming near the central sector. Long-range scans show preparation. No weapon locks yet." Marek nodded. "They are afraid. That is expected." "Should we respond?" the AI asked. "Yes," he said. "Send the message." A single transmission left the Ashen Crown. It reached every major station, every fleet, and every listening post. It was simple. Only 2 words. Stand down. No threat. No order. No demand. Just a signal. A reminder. The message caused confusion across the galaxy. Some thought it was a warning. Others believed it was a test. Many remembered the old stories. When the Dominion had once sent the same message before entering war zones, the fighting stopped. No one had forced peace. It simply happened. A small trade fleet near the edge of Council space turned around. They had planned to patrol an area with rising pirate activity. After receiving the message, they saw Ashen Crown in the distance and changed course without discussion. On a mining world, a group of mercenaries argued about starting a rebellion for better pay. After the signal reached the planet, they stopped. It was not fear. It was something deeper, a sense that something older, something stronger, had returned. Inside the council chamber, panic started to grow. "This is not a message," said Kor. "It is a control signal." "No," replied Talos. "It is a reminder that someone still watches." "He has not touched a single ship," Relna added. "Yet movement across our sectors has changed. Piracy is dropping. Border disputes are ending, not because of action, because of presence." Garo of the Lurin spoke again. "This is the same as before, the same as the old days. The humans did not rule by power. They ruled by presence. That is what made them different. The council could not agree on what to do next. Some wanted to send more ships. Some wanted to try speaking to Merrick. Some believed silence was the best choice. But in deep space, actions spoke louder than meetings. The Ashen Crown arrived near an old communication array known as Watchpoint 7. It had been offline for nearly 600 years. Marek requested a docking. The machines responded. Old systems, once thought broken, began to work again. The signal towers lit up. Within an hour, messages were flowing again between colonies that had been silent for generations. Engineers on nearby planets saw the repair as a miracle. No one knew how he did it. He didn't speak. He didn't ask for payment. He simply restored what was broken. People began to talk. They called him the Silent One. Some believed he was the last human. Others thought he was the first of many to return. Inside the ship, Marek watched as more systems came online. The Ashen Crown was nearly complete. Drones flew inside and outside, fixing every wire, every panel. The heart of the ship, its core, engine, was glowing once again. "Council activity is slowing," the AI said. "They do not know how to act." "Good," Marek said. "Let them feel it, not fear. Balance." The ship moved again, slowly, calmly, toward the center of the galaxy. Not with weapons, not with threats, just presence. And across the stars, those who once ruled began to remember. The Ashen Crown now moved through the center of the galaxy. It passed systems quietly, without stopping. Wherever it went, lights turned on. Old machines came alive. Communication towers lit up for the first time in centuries. No words were spoken from the ship, but every system it touched seemed to wake from sleep. Marek stood in the command bridge. His eyes looked calm, but his thoughts were busy. The galaxy had changed. Thousands of years had passed. The names of empires were different. The flags had changed, but fear remained the same. The ship's AI spoke softly. "Many systems are now watching us. Some stations are following. No ships are close enough to be a threat." Marek nodded. "They are waiting for us to make the first move." "Do you wish to send another message?" "Yes, but not the same." He walked to a panel and placed his hand on it. A small light blinked. Then a message began to form. It was sent through the old human beacon network. a system forgotten by most, hidden beneath the current networks, but still alive. The message was short. It went to every leader, every station, and every fleet command post across the galaxy. It said, "I am not here to fight. I am here to remember. If peace still has value, then listen. Let your weapons rest. Let your engines pause. Watch. That is enough." The message arrived like a wave. Some leaders laughed. Some grew angry. But many paused. They read it again and again. There was no demand, no command, just words that felt heavier than anything spoken in centuries. On the moon station of Trava, a science officer named Joren sat in silence after reading the message. He had grown up hearing stories of the human dominion. His grandfather once showed him a human-made device found in an old mine. It still worked after 1,000 years. Now, the message made him feel like a child again. Not afraid, but curious. Across the galaxy, people began to talk. The name Marek became known, not as a threat, but as a question. Who was he really? Why? Now? And what did he truly want? Back at the Galactic Council, tension remained. "This message is a trick," said Kor. "He says peace, but he moves closer to key sectors. What is he planning?" Relna shook her head. "He passed by 3 military posts and didn't even slow down. If he wanted to show power, he already has." Talos, always quiet, raised a hand. "What if he simply wants to be seen? To remind us of the past we forgot?" "There is no past," said Garo. "Humans left. They had their time. Yet here he is." Talos replied. The council could not agree. Some wanted to speak to Marek. Others wanted to watch and wait. A few still wanted to prepare their fleets, but no one was brave enough to fire the first shot. On a small world named Alros, something unexpected happened. This world had once been part of the human dominion. Old buildings made from white stone still stood. They were quiet ruins, untouched, for generations. As the Ashen Crown moved near Alros, lights in those buildings turned on. Not from the ship, but from the machines inside the planet. Towers that had not worked in ages began to glow. A blue signal rose into the sky. The people of Alros watched in wonder. Children ran to tell their parents. Elders came out of their homes. They remembered stories of the humans who once lived there. Peaceful builders, silent watchers. They were not conquerors. They were caretakers. Marek watched from the bridge. "Do you wish to land?" the AI asked. "No. Let them remember on their own," he said, and the ship moved on. But the signal from Alros stayed. It sent one word across the stars: "Welcome." This changed something. For the first time, voices from normal people started to rise. Messages filled the networks. Not from fleets or governments, but from farmers, traders, teachers, and workers. They spoke of the Ashen Crown, some with fear, some with wonder, but many with hope. In one message, a child asked, "Is he coming to help us?" In another, an old station worker said, "I remember when my grandmother told me stories of ships like his. She said they never needed to fight. Just being there was enough." Marek read these messages in silence. He said nothing, but he felt something shift. The AI noticed too. Support among public systems is rising. Council control is weakening. Marek looked out the window. Fear may break walls, but memory builds bridges. The ship's journey continued. It did not stop. It did not fire. It simply moved. And with every system it passed, the galaxy remembered a little more. Back in the council chamber, another emergency meeting began. This time, something was different. Message had arrived, but not from Marek. It was from one of the council's own members. Talos stood and placed a hand on the table. "I request the right to speak directly to the human," he said. "Not as a threat, not as a command, but as a conversation." Silence filled the chamber. Then Relna nodded. "Let him speak. If we fear words, we have already lost." Others slowly agreed. Kor said nothing. He knew what it meant. The galaxy was listening, and Marek had not fired a single shot. The Galactic Council's decision surprised many. For the first time, they agreed to send a single representative to speak with Marek, the human aboard the Ashen Crown. This was not a challenge. It was a chance to learn, to understand, and maybe to find peace. Talos, the elder from the Shirin, was chosen. He was calm and wise, known for his ability to listen before speaking. He prepared carefully for the journey. His ship was small and fast, carrying only what was needed for a peaceful meeting. As Talos's ship approached the Ashen Crown, the large supercarrier loomed like a giant in space. It was beautiful and quiet, shining under the distant stars. Marek watched the approaching ship from the bridge. "Prepare docking," Marek said. The AI responded, "Docking ports open. Welcome, Talos." Talos entered the ship alone. The halls were wide and clean, with soft lights guiding him. Marek met him in the main chamber. The two looked at each other carefully. Talos was calm, but curious. Marek was quiet, but not cold. "Welcome, Talos of the Galactic Council," Marek said in a steady voice. "Thank you, Marek of the humans," Talos replied. "I come with respect and questions." They sat at a large round table. The silence was not uncomfortable. It was full of meaning. Talos spoke first. "Why have you returned after so many years? What do you want from us?" Marek looked out the window before answering. "I returned because the balance is broken. The galaxy is restless. Old fears grow. Weapons are ready. Trust is lost." Talos nodded. "Many believe your kind disappeared because of war, but your ship has not fired a single shot. Why?" Marek's eyes held a quiet strength. "War is easy. Peace is hard. We chose to leave so the galaxy could find its own way. But now peace is fragile. My presence is a reminder." Talos asked, "What do you want from us now?" "To be seen," Marek said simply. "To be remembered. To be heard. I do not seek power or conquest. I seek balance." Talos paused. "You speak of balance. How can balance be kept without force?" Marek smiled softly. "Balance is not weapons. Balance is trust. It is the power to choose peace, even when ready for war." The conversation continued for hours. Talos asked about the old human ways. Marek shared stories of a time when humans ruled by presence, not fear. When one ship could stop a battle by simply being there. Talos shared stories from the current galaxy of fears, divisions, and forgotten peace. When the meeting ended, Talos felt a strange calm. He returned to his ship, carrying a new hope. Back at the council, Talos spoke. Marek is not a threat. He is a challenge, a call for us to remember who we once were. Some listened, others remained doubtful. Meanwhile, news of the meeting spread. Across planets and stations, people spoke of peace for the first time in many years. The idea that a single human could change the galaxy without war was hard to believe, but it sparked something. On a distant mining colony, a young engineer named Lyra watched the news. She worked on old machines that no one used anymore. She smiled, thinking, maybe the stories are true. Maybe peace is possible. At the same time, Marek prepared the Ashen Crown for a new purpose. The ship was no longer just a supercarrier. It was a symbol of hope, of balance, and of the return of humanity's promise. The galaxy waited, not for a battle, but for a new beginning. The meeting between Marek and Talos became a turning point. The Galactic Council was no longer certain how to respond. Some began to see Marek's return as a chance, not a threat. Others feared that the old power was returning to challenge them all. Inside the Ashen Crown, Marek prepared for the next phase. His ship was alive and strong, its systems humming with energy. It was more than a vessel of war. It was a bridge between past and future. Marek sent a message to all council leaders. This time it was an invitation, not for battle or demand, but for dialogue. Meet with me at the summit station. Let us talk as equals. The message traveled fast. The summit station was a neutral place, far from any power center. It was large enough to hold many ships, but small enough to feel intimate. Its walls were built to withstand attacks, but its true strength lay in the voices heard inside. The council debated. Some wanted to send fleets to block Marek. Others believed the invitation should be accepted. After long discussion, they agreed. A delegation of 6 ships, each representing a different council race, moved toward the summit station. Marek's ship arrived first. It floated gently in space, its vast size still impressive. Lights from the station blinked on, welcoming the visitors. Talos was among the first to arrive. He smiled when he saw Marek waiting. The delegates entered the station's large meeting hall. The room was circular with a glass ceiling showing stars. Everyone's eyes were on Marek and his ship. Marek spoke calmly. We meet not as enemies, but as neighbors. The galaxy is vast. It has room for all. One of the delegates, an energetic woman named Zara from the Voltan, asked, "Why should we trust you?" "Your kind vanished without warning," Marek answered. "We left because we believed the galaxy needed to grow without fear of us. But fear returned. I am here to offer a new way." Relna of the Kindari spoke next. "What new way?" "Presence without aggression. Power without destruction. Peace without weakness." The delegates talked long into the night. They asked questions about the old human empire, about their technology, and about Marek's plans. Marek shared only what was needed. He spoke of respect and balance, not conquest. Outside the station, fleets from many worlds waited. They held their breath, unsure of what would come next. On the mining colony of Alrose, people watched the news with hope. The blue light still shone from the old towers. For them, Marek was not just a ship or a leader. He was a sign. Back in the council chamber, the debate shifted. Many leaders admitted Marek's return had already changed things. Trade routes were calmer. Border conflicts slowed. Pirate attacks dropped. Kor, once the loudest voice against Marek, said quietly, "Perhaps we have misjudged him." Talos smiled. "Balance is difficult, but it begins with trust." Marek sent another message, this time to the people of the galaxy. It was a simple request. Look to each other. Remember the past, but build the future together. People across, the stars listened. In small towns and great cities, in ships and stations, hope spread. The galaxy had waited long for something new, and Marek, aboard the Ashen Crown, watched and waited. He knew the path would not be easy. Old fears die slowly, but with every passing day, the galaxy remembered a forgotten truth: that peace is possible. The meeting at Summit Station was remembered across the galaxy as the day everything began to change. Marek and the council delegates had spoken not as enemies, but as beings who shared a future. After the talks, Marek returned to the Ashen Crown. The ship was no longer just a symbol of power. It had become a beacon of hope. The Galactic Council issued a new declaration. They would work with Marek and the humans. They agreed to share information, to open trade, and to support peace efforts. But change was never simple. Not everyone in the galaxy welcomed the new era. Some factions, powerful and secretive, saw Marek's presence as a threat. They prepared quietly, building forces in hidden corners. Marek knew this. He was not naive, but he also believed that fear would lose to hope. On a peaceful planet called Seren, people gathered to celebrate the new beginning. The sky was filled with bright colors as ships from many worlds arrived. Traders brought goods, artists shared music, and children played. Marek watched from the ship's bridge. He felt something he had not felt in a long time: peace. But the galaxy was vast, and the shadows still lingered. One night, the Ashen Crown detected a small fleet moving quickly near a vital trade route. The fleet was unmarked, silent, and fast. The AI warned Marek. Unknown ships approaching. Intent unclear. Marek stood, calm but alert. Prepare defenses, no weapons unless needed. The ships came closer. Then, instead of attacking, they sent a message. "We do not seek war," the message said. "We wish to talk." Marek ordered a secure channel open. A voice spoke. It was low and serious. "We are the Shadow Consortium. We have watched the galaxy's changes. We fear your influence, but we do not want conflict. We propose a meeting." Marek considered the offer. "Very well," he replied. "We will meet, but peace must be the goal." The meeting was set on a neutral moon, far from busy trade routes and council worlds. Marek arrived with a small team. The Shadow Consortium's leaders waited, their faces hidden behind masks. The conversation was tense, but honest. The consortium feared losing power. Marek promised no aggression. He spoke of unity and respect. Slowly, the walls between them began to crack. Back in the galaxy, Marek's actions inspired others. More worlds opened their doors to peace talks. Trade grew. Old enemies found common ground. The Ashen Crown traveled between systems, not as a warship, but as a messenger of hope. Years passed. The galaxy changed. Borders became bridges. Fear turned to friendship. The presence of the last human supercarrier reminded everyone that strength was not only in weapons but in trust and honor. Marek often stood on the ship's observation deck, watching stars move past. He knew his mission was not finished. Peace required constant care, but he believed in the future he and the galaxy were building. The galaxy was no longer crushed by fear. It was rising with hope, and the story of the Ashen Crown and the revived human would be told for generations.